CQ, CQ, CQ. Calling all stations, calling all stations, calling all stations. This is the October 3rd, 2024 South Florida Latin Amateur Radio Club Net. We're starting off a little late, 7:33 p.m. We're going to be taking check-ins and also talking about the SET. I guess a topic of discussion will be what's going on with hurricane response as well. Couple of things we got going on. Obviously, there's all the stuff going on with the hurricane response. I know there's a couple of people over in a Dade Radio Club that were already involved with emergency management. That looks like they're going to deploy. As far as what the rest of us here can do, I don't know. If you know somebody over there, you know, that you could lend a hand. Frank, AK4FU, he was in Mooresville, North Carolina. It's got a farm in Leonore. And I know his house was okay. From what I heard, the farm was fine, just inaccessible. Frank did his due diligence, and when he bought his land, he made sure he was elevated. So Frank's house was fine, didn't lose anything, and the farm was okay, just no roads. The roads and the bridges on the way to his farm washed away. But he was fine. He was actually going to volunteer because he was a medic, battlefield medic in Vietnam, and he was going to volunteer. I don't know if he actually got picked. No idea, but he was all right for anybody who was worried about him. We also have the SET going on this weekend on Saturday. We need to discuss a little bit about that, but let's go ahead and knock some check-ins out of the way. Aline, I heard you babbling, so you're first. Are you going to be available for the SET on Saturday at noon? And anything else going on of interest for the net? Any other traffic you may have?
K4KKC. I don't know because my wife is coming to town. And we're probably going to be busy doing stuff that I didn't get to do off my, what do you call it, Warden early relief program. So I'm not sure. Keep me as a possibly maybe. Other than that, I just, man, you know, hearing all this shit about the rescue efforts and I digress. Yeah, checking in. From Pembroke Pines.
Well, we only need you for 30 minutes to an hour. So our participation in the SET will be on Saturday from noon to roughly 1, maybe a little bit less. So, you know, you could always tell her, hey, I had these plans. You know, it could happen, Aline. All right. Moving on. I heard CLT on there. CLT, what's going on? And are you going to be available for the SET?
Evening at control. All good. Status quo here. And as of now, I should be good for the SET 12 to 1 on Saturday.
All right, sir. Thank you. And I heard Jamie out there. N30XO. Are you going to be available on Saturday?
Hey, how you doing? Good evening. Yes, if you just let me know what I need to do, I should be able, it's gonna be, how long it's gonna take, but I should be able, available.
we're going to run from 12 to 1. If you're here, you already got part of the SCT down pat. But we're going to run from 12 to 1, maybe a little bit sooner than that. But okay, I got you down. I'll cover it in detail as soon as I get some of these check-ins knocked out. All right, anybody in RF land that wants to check in, please come now.
Un chequeo.
No. Todos los grupos tienen uno. Oye, are you on a radio? We're taking check-ins from RF land via radio. People that are on a radio, come now.
Oye, que estaba hablando por el micrófono del otro radio. Al favor, Ford, Juliet Hotel.
All right, 55. Are you going to be available Saturday from 12 to roughly 1 o'clock on the radio?
I will try, bro. Acuérdate que lo mío weekend con los camiones y esto, pero bueno, vamos a ver si tenemos el chance y de mediodía abajo le dedicamos un rato a la radio.
All right, good to hear. Hopefully you'll be available. All right, Bullet, you got anything for the net? And will you be available to get on here on Saturday from 12 to approximately 1 p.m.?
Yes and no. Yes, that I will be here Saturday, and well, yeah, because it's from 12 to 1. And I don't know what, I forgot what was the next step.
Jamie, I didn't even have to hear you key up the microphone, and I know what you said. Hey, if you're going to be available to get on the radio from 12 to approximately 1 at some point, that's all. If you're going to be around.
Yes, I'm going to be around.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir. All right. Moving on down the list. Ruben did a remote check-in, KN4HYG. You know, he's got his thing going on. I don't know if he's going to be available for the FCT or not. Going on the list here, I see Fruto. Fruto, are you checking in? Parece que estamos disfrutados. Going on down the list. Arenza, KK4RYG. Yeah, I know you won't be able to participate in RSET, at least on the RF side, but if you happen to be available to get on between noon and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, please feel free to drop in on us. Renza, you there? Over. I think our Alaskan correspondent maybe had a signal freeze. All right, we'll check back with Arenza. Next one up, Doc. Doc in the ditch.
I'm here. For some reason, there was a delay between me and you, but I am here. I heard what you said. What frequency is that, or is there an all-star network that's connected to that 12 to 1 p.m.? Let me know what other ways I could get in. I'm sure that we could figure out something. Other than that, I'm okay, guys. I'm up here listening to another conference on what's happening overseas. This is your boy Arenza, Kilo Kilo 4, Romeo Yankee Golf, escuchando contigo.
Well, remember that our system is connected via Yaesu Fusion. So if you have access to a Fusion radio, you could always come in through the YSF network. And I got to talk to Ruben. I know we have D-Star, but I think the D-Star radio has to be told to connect onto this network. So I'm going to ask Ruben about that if we're going to be doing that or not. So I can't vouch for the D-Star, but the Yaesu Fusion, the YSF information is on the club website, South Florida Latin Amateur Radio Club.org. It's on there. What the room number or whatever it is, I don't know it off the top of my head. So that is an option if you actually want to hop on a radio and get on the network and then pop out over here. All right. Going back to Doc. Doc in the ditch. You there? DOC.
I'm here and I'm disgusted. So I'm probably going to be in and out. I'm just disgusted on everything that's happening in North Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. I'm just disgusted. So take that for what you want. KC4 DOC. Mr. Doc in the ditch.
Well, if you're still around here, once we get done with roll call, then you can elaborate on what the disgusted part is about for those of us that haven't been following along at home. Miss Kitty, your turn. You there?
Evening, gentlemen. This is KX4FUN. Yeah, I'm a little disturbed myself, and I didn't study for my SATs, and I haven't taken them in I don't know how many years. So I'm going to say that I'm not going to be there for the SATs this weekend. But if it incorporates a radio, I might be there. So that's what I have to say. So back to you, Net Control. Hola, everyone.
Well, you guys being geographically far away, if you could jump in and participate, great. If you can't, we understand. I'll get to the nitty gritty of it in a minute. But part of it is doing what you guys are doing right now, which is just showing up, waving a hand, hello, I'm alive. So you got part of it already covered. All right, let me move along here. Jeffrey, CNM. You going to be available on Saturday?
Kilo Golf for Charlie November Mike. Yeah, I'm trying to scrounge up the parts. It's been a while since I've hooked up an antenna to my ham rig.
You can do it! Hey, why is it that anytime that you drop something at the workbench, you can drop it on the floor in front of you and it will always end up underneath the center of the workbench? I just dropped something in here and I don't know what the hell it was, but I know where it went. Down there with everything else I've lost. Well, if you can get some UHF action going, that'll be awesome. So I'll put you as a yes for now. And let me go on down the list here. Pedrito, ¿está despierto?
Yes, sir. K4 YKK. I don't know. I'll probably be here on Saturday. I don't know. Most likely, but not 100% sure.
All right, I'll put you down as a maybe. This is W4THM running the October 3rd, 2024 South Florida Latin Amateur Radio Club Net and Mini Meeting. Is there anybody out there in RF land that wishes to check in? Please come now. All right, with nothing heard. So the SET, simulated emergency test, once a year. It's just to make sure that people can get on the radio and pass some traffic, so forth. They're very lenient about what they want. Mostly it's just they want a show of hands. You know, people showed up, people have capabilities. So they kind of leave it up to the individual clubs. So what we're going to be doing both here at South Florida Latin Amateur Radio Club and also with New Horizons, Calixto is going to handle the GMRS side with New Horizons. He's going to be doing it over there. What we want to do is get back on here, do a roll call at noon on Saturday, and then what we want is for people to switch over to a simplex frequency on UHF to be announced at that time. And we want to see who can talk to who on simplex. I know some of you are handheld warriors and that's all you got. Well, if you could find a shady place under a tree to go sit for 15, 20 minutes with your handheld and see if you pick up anybody from our crew. If you have an outside antenna, wonderful, that's even better. If you got a mobile, that works too. But we just want to get a log of who can talk to who if the repeater goes down, if there is no Zello. You know, if we're all on RF, who can reach who? And also what your status of emergency preparedness is as far as backup power, what bands can you get on the air, so forth. And we're going to take that information, put that on a map internally for the club. So if some crap does go down, we do have a general idea of, you know, the different coverage areas for the different stations and who has what capabilities. So that's what that's all about. We'll start off at noon with a roll call, you know, check in net style, just like we're doing here. And once we do like 15, 20 minutes of check-ins, then we'll give out the simplex frequency, and everybody head off to the simplex frequencies and spend like 15, 20 minutes out there. See who you can pick up, who you can hear, who you can talk to. You know, if you guys even have to text each other and like, hey, I'm over, you know, I'm on the air, can you hear me? It doesn't matter if you text each other or whatever to try to establish a contact. I just want to know if you were able to make the contact via radio, even if you had to set it up via phone, if you were able to talk to each other via radio. So we have kind of a coverage map set up. And with what just happened with this hurricane, you can see why something like that would be very important. I don't know if any of you were monitoring W4HTP on Broadcastify, but they were running health and welfare checks where people were calling in on the radio. There was people that got on there and they just said, I have no license. I just have this Bofang, and they figured out how to program it, and they took their traffic just the same. You know, hey, I got a family member at this location. Could somebody check up on them? And somebody else would chime in and like, hey, I'm 10 minutes from there. You know, I can get there by bicycle. And they'd go check on each other and then relay back via the net back to the person, you know, what they found. This is a real world scenario for something like this. And it's good to know who can cover what area. Let me let this drop a second. So, you know, there is a real world application for this. Something else, the people who are running WinLink and other digital formats, there's traffic being relayed through there because everything got wiped. Starlink was delivering dishes to different locations that the public can get to, so they can connect with their phone and send email, whatever. But that's just a small footprint. You know, ham radio was very, very relevant in this hurricane. With all the technology we have, it still fell back upon the hams. And I don't know what's going on now that, you know, you guys are talking about, you know, them not granting access to different places. I don't know. Doc, I'll get to you in a second so you can elaborate on that. Something else club related, the W4 CRL Digi is up and running, solar powered on a Hustler G7. The furthest we've been heard from here, from my house in Homestead, is Cape Canaveral. That thing is getting out. It's working great. And the information on it got changed to reflect the club website and club frequencies. So that is showing up on aprs.fi. If you want to see what that's about, look for the club call sign on aprs.fi and you'll see it there. Something else that's interesting, if you go to APRS.fi, you can type in, for example, Asheville, North Carolina, and you can see the giant hole all that are beginning to pop up, and you'll see some of the responders traveling around. So APRS is still relevant to an extent for disaster use. And that's kind of why we're starting to take an interest in it again. I had talked to CLT today about WinLink. I don't know, maybe the club should do a WinLink station. We'll pursue that more offline, off the net. Now, before we go over to Doc, does anybody have any questions or any traffic for the net? All right, with nothing heard. Doc, what's going on over there, man? What information have you heard that is bad? What's disturbing? What's happening?
Garrett is taking the chopper back to North Carolina, even though it had a little bit of damage from the last few days. He's going back up to Asheville, and even though they're being shut down for airspace, the FCC said no Starlink. You already know that. And now the military, who's on the ground right now, says no private pilots, and they're going anyway. So he left Orlando this morning and going up to join the other several hundred private helicopters up in Asheville and surrounding areas. Go ahead.
Hold on a second. What do you mean the FCC said no Starlink? What?
Did I hear that right? No Starlink?
I don't think Starlink is even regulated by the FCC that way.
All right, just wait for my time to key in. Yeah, the FCC tried to shut down Elon and all the Starlink systems that are being delivered via Hilo. I think everybody's going to do what they want to do. We got a bunch of choppers out of Florida that are headed up to Asheville and eastern. Is that eastern Tennessee? Yeah, eastern Tennessee, up around Tazewell and Morristown.
But the FCC did shut it down.
Yeah, the FCC said you can't do it. I think everybody's putting a middle finger out right now. But yeah, the FCC did try to shut it down, or did shut it down, but I don't think they did. What's the latest I have on this one? Stay tuned, I guess.
Comment.
Go ahead.
I've been listening to Net Control up there through Broadcastify, and they're constantly announcing of different Starlink setups that have been activated at hotels and different restaurant locations. They all usually carry the same SSID and the same password, which is NC Strong, like North Carolina Strong. And they've been setting that up. I haven't heard it being shut down. They still have the communication telling people whoever need to send or receive info to go to those locations if they can get there, obviously.
One 100% exactly right. They're doing it, even though the FCC said you can't do it, they're doing it anyway. And helos are still dropping Starlink sites all over North Carolina and eastern Tennessee. 100%. They're using it regardless. And I think what did I hear? The last thing I got from Greg, the one who runs the helicopter up and back from Orlando. Garrett. I'm sorry, Garrett. Garrett Mitchell. Yep. I think Elon said 30 days free. Go do whatever you want.
I don't understand why the hell the FCC would say no to that. I could see where maybe they're concerned about all these helos in the air and a lack of air traffic control. Maybe there's something to that, but I can't fathom why the FCC would do something to prevent people from being able to get in touch with their family members. That just blows my mind. I'm gonna have to research that after the web, because that just blows my mind that they would do that. If they're really doing that, it's like, Did they forget who the hell they work for? That's messed up.
I tuned out. I don't know if we're still in the net, but if not, if we are, I'm sorry about screwing up the net. No, it's the FAA, not the FCC. The FAA says you got to ground all your choppers.
And the FCC said you can't do Starlink.
And the FCC said you can't do Starlink. What? We're gonna let them all fucking die in the mountains? Really?
Everybody's gonna perish.
Give me a break.
Everybody's gonna perish.
What is wrong with you people?
Yeah, I can see the FAA thing. I can see some concern for that, but I can't understand the FCC side of it. That just makes no damn sense. None. Zip. I don't get it. But something to research after net is over. Yeah, I don't know if the W4HTP stream is still up and running, but there was a lot of emergency traffic going on there, and if you've never had any experience with disaster comms, they have been very active in coordinating stuff, and that'll give you a good idea of what it's like when the shit hits the fan, because the shit really hit the fan this time. This is bad. All right, is there anything else for the net at this time before we close it? Any other traffic before we close the net? You don't have to go. We just, gotta close the official side of it. Any other traffic?
Just the net's still going up there. It's still at Markastify. I was listening to it today. They're constantly giving updates of road openings, locations that are giving out the MREs, and locations that have gas stations open with, and whether they're cash only or credit card available, and stuff like that. And they'll actually, if you ask them, I've heard people ask them, how can I get to this location? And net control will tell you, take road this to that, to that, to that, to this, and the next road, and they'll actually tell you either you can or you can't get there based on the road openings. And net control's been running things pretty efficiently up there.
Yeah, those guys have been great. They started out with the health and welfare, and not every response was good. Net control had to handle some sad traffic. Let's just say that. And now they've been pivoting towards helping people figure out how to get from point A to point B. So they have really been instrumental in helping the people out in those communities. So to think that ham radio is useless, well, there was a perfect application for it. Nothing else worked because it wasn't even standing. So the hams were able to get on the air and get going. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and close the net, and then we could talk a little bit further about the response issues that Doc brought up, because that's very interesting. So we're gonna go ahead and close the net. 8:07 p.m. October 3rd, 2024. South Florida Latin Amateur Radio Club net brought to a close. Don't forget October 5th, I believe it is. Saturday, this Saturday, from 12 to 1, the simulated emergency test for Dade County. Please try to be on the air here on the repeater 443.300 or through Zello. It doesn't matter. Whichever one. Actually, the link for the 443.300 to Zello is currently going through Starlink. So, real world scenario. We're not dependent upon any of the local infrastructure right now, except for the repeater. But it could be pointed at any other repeater. So, it's up and running. But anyhow, we're going to go ahead and close the net, return the repeater to its amateur abuse. And Doc, please tell me more.